story of Brittany Clardy continues to resonate across the country. She was 18 years old when her body was found in a car towed away from a Brooklyn Park apartment complex. She had fallen into prostitution. The man she met brutally beat and murdered her. That happened 10 years ago. Today, Clardy's story is behind a bill, the Brittany Clardy Act, which proposes to create a new federal office. A proposal by U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar would create the new Office for Missing and Murdered Black Women and Girls. It follows groundbreaking legislation approved here in Minnesota that created a state office to help with the issue. Statistics show that while black women make up only 7% of the population in Minnesota, they represent 40% of domestic violence victims and are 3 times more likely to be murdered than white women. A Crystal woman is giving a voice to the voiceless. Emily Haugen explains how this woman is making it her mission to find the missing.
Okay, this is my missing persons page.
Everybody has a purpose.
Here's Janet.
Shalia Brandley Smiths is finding the lost.
I get hundreds of emails or Facebook messages asking me to share their missing loved one.
She runs Minnesotans United for Missing Persons out of her home in Crystal.
It spreads like wildfire from the Minnesota missing page. And the next thing we know, somebody's found. Remember, one post has the potential to reach 1,000 people.
She works as a helper.
If somebody's missing, we want to find them.
And a coach to families of the missing.
Pray for them because unfortunately, I know exactly how they feel.
This cause runs deeper for her.
Shalia, you have 2 missing.
Her great nieces went missing in 2001.
Because we are used to compartmentalizing Diamond and Tianda, Diamond and Tianda, Tianda and Diamond. But they're 2 different people.
They still haven't been found.
And that's what makes my niece's case hard.
Shalia channels that hope.
And we have so many, Josh Guzman,
into her pages.
This is everybody's issue. Missing people have no color. There is no color restrictions, no race restrictions, no income restrictions. One thing about being missing, it don't discriminate.
It gives her a purpose that takes her out the door.
You got to put boots on the ground, people. We got to put boots on the ground, especially here in Minnesota. This was Barway.
Like in the search for Barway Collins.
Barway, please come home. Yep. I knew I had to do something, get the awareness out, make noise in the neighborhood. This kid could be anywhere.
A search ending in tragedy, and she keeps going.
It's people within the community that's finding the people.
For her purpose, helping countless others.
I do this with my own time, and it's worth every second.
In Crystal, Emily Haugen, CCX News.
A new art installation at North Hennepin Community College seeks to keep the conversation going about diversity and racial equity. Rusty Ray explains how this mural came to be and why.
On behalf of North Hennepin Community College, we'd like to welcome you all to this remarkable moment in NHCC history.
3 murals in 3 different locations on North Hennepin Community College's Brooklyn Park campus work in harmony to illustrate a world that often is not.
I think it's crucial. It's critical. I think we need an object with which to emote. We need an object with which to talk about issues that are prevalent in all of our lives.
It's been Kathy Hendrickson's job to bring the art to the campus community.
We've been doing some really deep dive into not only our diversity work here on campus, but also our commitment to that. And so it's not what we do, it's who we are.
It's one of my favorite parts of graffiti. You get to choose your own name.
That's how world-renowned graffiti artist Peyton Scott Russell's latest work came to Brooklyn Park. It's called An Authentic Truth.
As an artist, as a storyteller, I'm trying to inspire people to be their best self. I hope the energy of this work is doing that.
Russell's work shot to fame with his stenciled mural of George Floyd. He says he wants public art to move people where they are.
But I always intrinsically felt that graffiti was so much more than this simple mindless vandalism that people always subjugated it to. My intent was always to create and not to destroy.
Students seem to think it contributes to the larger mission on campus.
It's personal, and I think I appreciate it.
There's just a lot of safe spaces I feel here as well.
And they want to allow for reflection.
It's a new beginning of awareness on this campus, and I'm really proud of North Hennepin.
In Brooklyn Park, Rusty Ray, CCX News.
A fall tradition in the northwest suburbs kicks off this weekend in Brooklyn Park.
The biggest reward is when the family's been coming here since the babies, and they say, oh, we have a great time. And that is the biggest reward we get, to see people coming back and saying, keep doing it, we love it.
The Twin Cities Harvest Festival and Maze opens tomorrow, Saturday at 10 a.m. Now in its 14th year, the event draws thousands of people to Brooklyn Park for a celebration of all things fall. Families can enjoy a car show, hay rides, the ever-popular corn pit, and of course, they can traverse their way through a gigantic corn maze that this year is in the shape of the St. Paul Saints logo. And even though there is rain in the forecast this weekend, organizers say don't let that deter you.
We have tents, we have the corn pit is covered, the petting zoo is covered, so we will have a festivity. So just be ready, pay attention. Don't listen too much to the weatherman. Look yourself outside. If the weather's good, come on out.
The festival is open weekends through October 29th from 10 to 6 p.m., along with additional days during the MEA break. Admission is $13, and festival organizers will donate a portion of every ticket sold to Children's Minnesota for cancer research.
The Maple Grove boys soccer team beat Champlin Park in the Section 5 3A championship game last season. Those teams met Thursday night. Jay Wilcox has the highlights.
Champlin Park on their home field looking to hand Maple Grove its first loss of the season in boys soccer. Just seconds into the game, the Rebels get a couple of good shots, but Maple Grove goalkeeper Beckett Carlson makes two saves to keep it scoreless. A handball in the box means Maple Grove is awarded a penalty kick, and they use Carlson to take it. He converts. It's 1-0 Crimson just 3.5 minutes into the game. Elijah Ibrahim lines up the corner kick for Champlin Park, and he hooks it perfectly into the net to tie the game up midway through the first half. It stays 1-1 at halftime. Maple Grove strikes late as Gavin Chabika's shot is blocked, but it caroms back to him, and he chips it past charging keeper Evan Martin with 10.5 minutes left. That's the game winner as Maple Grove improves to 9-0-1 with a 2-1 win over Champlin Park. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
Prior to that boys match, the Maple Grove and Champlin Park girls soccer teams played a close match that went right down to the final seconds. Champlin Park girls soccer hosting Maple Grove in Northwest Suburban Conference play Thursday. A great through ball played by the Rebels' Sophie Blanchette. Ahead to Olivia Mell, who is onside and buries the shot for a goal. Champlin Park leads just 1:45 into the match under new head coach Alex Alvarez. It stays 1-0 for a long time. Maple Grove's Alyssa Baranek heads one off the post. It comes to Abby Oakland, who scores on the rebound. That ties the match at 1 with under 17 minutes to play in the second half. Final minute of the match. Maple Grove's Jessica Lee gets a step on her defender, shoots and scores inside the near post. It comes with just 26 seconds left to play as Maple Grove wins it over Champlin Park 2-1. Earlier this week, the Osseo Volleyball program took time to honor an Osseo team that came away with one of the school's most historic victories 50 years ago. Chaz Moots has the story.
Watching from overhead at every Osseo Volleyball home game is the first ever Minnesota Volleyball High School State Championship band. On Wednesday night, members of that 1974 team returned back home to watch for themselves and receive the recognition of their accomplishment from a half-century ago.
In some ways it feels like 50 years, but in a lot of ways it just seems like yesterday. Because the girls, when we get together, there's the same nice girls that I coached at the time, and those years go by very, very fast.
Back in the early 70s, high school volleyball wasn't what it is today. Net sagged down in the middle, players had to share the same uniforms as softball and basketball teams, and some facilities were less than ideal.
The year before we won state tournament, we went to a local place to play, and I think it must have been an elementary gym because all our sets hit the ceiling. and they had to adjust to that. I mean, I think it's hard to imagine.
Despite the tough conditions, the 74 Osseo volleyball team made history when they swept Bloomington Kennedy in the first ever state championship. On their way to a title, they had the Osseo community backing them from day one.
It was fun to play because the school got so behind us. We had big crowds at matches. We had newspaper coverage, and for a girls' sport, that was a big deal back then.
50 years later, and the 74 Osseo team is still proud of what they accomplished, and they're just as proud about how far the sport that they pioneered has now come.
People have had to put up a lot of fights along the way and convince people to do things, and it definitely has helped that people have some strong attitudes about forwarding the sport.
We were really trying to spread volleyball all the way from the beginning. And so the way volleyball is today makes all of us really happy. I think because it was difficult and we had to fight for space and all of those kinds of things, it made us closer than ever. They taught me everything about commitment and hard work and caring about each other, and they're wonderful girls.
In Osseo, Chaz Moots, CCX Sports.